大家好, I'm Martin, and this is Short Stories, brought to you by the Taichung Keda Language Center. Today's short story is called Burial Rites. It's about an Icelandic woman who was convicted for murder, but because she lives in a country that does not have any prisons, she has to live with a family until the day of her execution. Doesn't that sound very bizarre to you? It sounds pretty bizarre to me. But then again, this is Iceland, and everything is bizarre in Iceland. Before I read the story, I'm going to read the vocabulary and vocabulary example sentences. At the end, I will read 4 listening comprehension questions. All right, no sense in waiting. Let's get started. Vocabulary. Remote. Remote. Caroline moved out of the city and went to live in a remote village in the mountains. Ordinary. Ordinary. Though it was just an ordinary day at school, Raymond felt like something wasn't right. Murderer. Murderer. 2 days after the man was killed, his murderer was caught by police. Priest. Priest. The priest walked to the front of the church and started the prayer service. Stable. Stable. For a few months after college, Jonathan did some part-time jobs while he looked for stable work. Jealous. Jealous. Greg became jealous when his wife started spending a lot of time with a male friend. Valuable. Valuable. Darren is a valuable member of this team, so the boss doesn't want him to leave. Penniless. Penniless. After he lost his job, Elliot was penniless, and he moved back in with his parents. Violent. Violent. Wallace often gets violent when he's angry, so you should stay away from him. Wound. Wound. Freddie can't walk properly because he got seriously wounded in his left leg when he was young. Pain. Pain. Whenever Miriam's head hurts, the pain is often so bad that she has to lie down. Confirm. Confirm. Sam and Teddy just confirmed the date of their wedding. It will be on May 5th, 2020. Prison. Prison. The police arrested the thief that stole the expensive painting and sent him to prison. Guard. Guard. Thomas has a large black dog that guards his house against thieves. Criminal. Criminal. The last criminal to be given the death sentence in the UK was Peter Allen. It was carried out in 1964. Emotional. Emotional. There is a service dog at this airport that provides emotional support for people that are nervous about flying. Complex. Complex. This book is far too complex for most people to understand. Punishment. Punishment. When Tony was caught stealing from his mother's purse, his punishment was 3 weeks without video games. Okay, no more vocabulary. Now for the story. The Cornsaw family is not happy. They must host a guest at their remote Icelandic farm for the entire winter of 1829. But this is no ordinary guest. Agnes Magnusdóttir is a murderer. She's been sent to them to wait for her execution. Agnes arrives, and though the family doesn't like her, she helps around the farm. She's often visited by a priest, Reverend Toti. She's asked him to help her prepare for death. The pair grows close, and over time, Agnes tells Toti about her past. She was abandoned by her single mother, never had a stable home, and was abused frequently. One day, the local head of police asked Toti to give a report on how Agnes has been. The policeman is troubled by their relationship, so he tells Toti about her crime. Agnes had been living with a man named Nathan, but became jealous over him. Together with her neighbor Friedrich, she killed Nathan and burned down his house. Toti does not understand how the policeman could be describing the same woman he knows. As the weeks pass, Toti continues to visit Agnes. She has won over the Cornsaw family and become a valuable member of their home. Eventually, Agnes opens up about what really happened with Nathan. Agnes was penniless and working on a farm when she met him. The two started a relationship and he invited Agnes to come work for him. Once she did, though, things changed. Nathan had a dream that Agnes would kill him, and he became violent towards her. After she discovered that he was also in a relationship with another one of his servants, Nathan threw her out. Agnes went to Friedrich for help, and the two made a plan to escape with the other servant. However, things quickly went wrong. Friedrich and Nathan got in a fight in which Nathan was fatally wounded. Agnes then stabbed Nathan not to hurt him, but to end his pain. Later, Agnes hears that the date of her execution has been confirmed. On the day, Toti holds her hand in her final moments. She is the last person in Iceland to ever be executed. Hannah Kent's 2013 novel, Burial Rites, is a touching crime story based on real events. It raises serious questions about the death penalty while introducing readers to a very foreign world, 19th century Iceland. Burial Rites' remote setting is what gives it many of its special qualities. At the time that Agnes was convicted, there were no prisons in Iceland. If someone had committed a crime, they would be guarded by at private homes, such as the Cornsaw's families. This lends itself to one of the book's main themes, social class. Though we get to know Agnes throughout the book, she is still a peasant and a criminal. We see this in her relationship with the family and Nathan, her violent former lover and employer. Agnes's story is still important today. At least 34 countries around the world have carried out executions since 2013, including Taiwan. Burial Rites gives readers an idea of the emotional stress this practice puts prisoners through. Agnes turns out to be a kind person with a complex past. However, that doesn't matter to society. In the legal system that holds her, the punishment must fit the crime. Time for questions. Question 1. Who is Agnes Magnusdóttir? A. A murderer. B. An executioner. C. A government official. D. A farmer. The answer is A. A murderer. Question 2. When does this story take place? A. 2013. B. 1900. C. 1829. D. 1776. The answer is C. 1829. Question 3. Why was Agnes living with the Cornsaw family? A. Because she married Mr. Cornsaw. B. Because she worked for Mr. Cornsaw. C. Because her home was destroyed by a volcano. D. Because there were no prisons in Iceland at that time. The answer is D. There were no prisons. Question 4. Which sentence most likely reflects the author's view of the death penalty? A. The death penalty is probably not a good idea. B. The death penalty is great. C. The death penalty is not good, but necessary. D. None of the above. A. The death penalty is probably not a good idea. She would not write a story about someone convicted for murder and then make you feel sympathy for them, which is what she does. She lets the audience, as well as the characters in the book, understand that Agnes might be a murderer, but that doesn't necessarily mean she is a bad person. So I think this would be the most logical reason that the death penalty is probably not a good idea, at least according to the author of this story. That's the end of today's short story, and I think you might find it interesting. It proposes an idea. It shows the death penalty from a very human perspective, from the perspective of the murderer, which nobody really thinks about. Anyway, that's the story. Thank you for watching. I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.